Believe it or not, football season is upon us as rookies report to Jets camp on Thursday. We're going to talk about some of those rookies, all the way from Olu Fashanu to, well, we'll talk about most of the undrafted free agents and what to expect from them. Also, we'll address these Davante Adams rumors, and we're going to play some Jets trivia a little bit later on. Plus, you might even get a little bit of wheel action. And is your Wednesday complete if you haven't had some wheel action? Then that's right. You know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. and we are live. Welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join me here on the Wednesday Night Live extravaganza, whether you're watching now or later. Although whenever you're watching, it's now for you. I appreciate you being here with me tonight as we gather for the 51st episode of the Wednesday Night Live show. And I got a little extra news for you for tonight. After the show, come over to Proud New York Jets fan. That's Nick Shine's channel. He'll be doing a show at 9 o'clock. I will be there along with the great Dom C. And we will be doing a mock draft. Wait, watch UK. Draft season's over, you say. Oh, no, it's not. We're going to be doing a mock AFC East draft. So the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Patriots players are all in place. And between the three of us, let's see who creates the best team. So, hey, I can tell you this, I'm not going to show you, but I've got my draft boards ready to go. White on white doesn't work very well, but yep, I got my boards. I've got my research ready to go. So let's see how that all goes down. But yeah, definitely if you're in the chat, feel free to leave a comment. Please hit that thumbs up button. Anything it takes to get the show out there, very much appreciated as we continue our march to 1,000 subscribers. Getting closer by the week, it seems. So I appreciate that. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the world of New York sports. And we're going to talk about what's on my mind in a little bit of what we like to call 3 and out. So the first thing I'm actually going to talk about here, let's put that back up. I want to talk a little baseball here. And this is maybe the toughest week of the sports here because it's the All-Star week for baseball. And oh my gosh, Agate Andrus, God bless. Good luck in rehab. Hope you have fun in rehab. But I did not watch 1 second of the All-Star game with them wearing those horrible uniforms. I'm sure it was exciting, but I mean, come on. Once you reach about 12, 13 years old, is the All-Star game really worth anything anymore? And it is the best All-Star game really of any sport. You know, the Pro Bowl was a sham. Basketball, there's no defense. Hockey, nobody wants to get hurt. So baseball probably still is the best All-Star game, but I just got no use for it at this point. But 2 things I want to address, one with each of the New York teams. And with the Yankees, I'm going to start with the Yankees today. I want to talk about Anthony Volpe for the second. What is this kid going to be? You know, for a period in the season, he looked like about the 3rd best position player on the Yankees. So if you look at wins above replacement, if you look at the WAR stat, through June 5th, Juan Soto ranked 1st in the major leagues in WAR. Aaron Judge ranked 2nd, and Volpe was 8th. You know, he was, going by some standards, a top 10 position player in all of baseball. But since June 5th, Volpe has the 6th worst WAR in baseball, almost as bad as Alex Verdugo, by the way, who has the 9th worst WAR. All right, so Volpe, it's very strange. Last year, he finished with an on-base plus slugging of .666, very ominous, and he has the exact same OPS this season. All right, so the thing with Volpe is when he slumps, it takes a long time for him to get out of it. You know, he began his career 15 for 15 in steals, Now he's 24 for his last 33, and he's about the only speed that this team really has to offer, in all fairness. And then he's kind of exchanged power for batting average, except June 6th, he's hitting 171, which is putrid with no home runs. So Volpe has had a lot to do. As he has gone down, the Yankees' offense has really gone down. And when your offense is basically a two-man team between Judge and Soto, pitchers can pitch around those two guys. And it's like, okay, I dare Jose Trevino to beat us. I dare, you name the guy. I dare this other guy to beat us. Trent Grisham, all these other guys. Ben Rice, we'll see what he is, but Volpe really needs to play better. Now, he's super durable. He's played the most innings of any baseball player in 2024, has a great attitude, has that team-first mentality. Teammates and coaches love him, but no, he's got to produce more than he has been. And as far as the Mets go, you know what? I think about – now I did a whole video today on the Mets talking about the draft a little bit, first half results, and what to expect in the second half. So I get a little bit more into the Mets on that video. But I wonder not just about the bullpen, which we know needs a heck of a lot of help, but the bench can be strengthened a little bit. And I love DJ Stewart. I've been a fan of his ever since the Mets got him, but I can't deny that he has been terrible this year. Absolutely. Just a couple of home runs, but, a successful DJ Stewart at bat is him drawing a walk. And it's very frustrating, but, they may have to look into a different place to get that solved. I mean, the great thing would be if Starling Marte could come back and maybe push Jeff McNeil to a bench role, something like that. But I don't see that happening. But the bullpen. Here's the thing: no bullpen has 8 pitchers that they trust. It's not realistic. But you want to have 3 to 4 pitchers that you feel you could go to in a big spot to get a tough out. And I don't think the Mets are that far from that. You have Jose Butto, who's shown very good signs, and he can pitch multiple innings. Daniel Nunez, he has been a godsend, making his debut in the majors at 28 years old. He's been great. You still trust Edwin Diaz, even though he may not be the 2022 version of himself. You still trust that he can get a big out when he needs to, even if he's not quite the same pitcher. I still think Phil Maton was a good trade acquisition from Tampa Bay. Sean Reed-Foley should be back pretty soon as well. And I would still explore the starting pitcher for multiple relievers option. Remember, the Mets don't have many starting pitchers under contract next year. You have Kodai Senga, you have Christian Scott, who's young, David Peterson, who's still young, but Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana, Luis Severino are all on one-year deals. Manaea does have a player option. All right, so they're all under one-year deals. If you trade one of those 3, and I definitely don't want to trade Severino, but I'm willing to trade a starter to get multiple bullpen arms back. I'm not trading these guys for prospects. Last year was the time Citi Field became Prospect Park, right? So I want to trade for multiple bullpen arms, and one of them has to be a lefty because you cannot get by with Jake Diekman and Danny Young. It's just not going to work. But again, I don't think the Mets bullpen is as far removed from being good as some people would have you think it is. And a quick note on basketball, campaign. This is how slow of a week this was. Campaign. Campaign. Yeah, there are a lot of campaigns going on right now, but that's another story. 30-year-old point guard signs a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Knicks. I wanted Tyler Kolek to have that backup point guard spot, but at least it doesn't raise the expectations on him too quickly. And as far as campaign goes, last year he was in Philadelphia and Milwaukee, with Philly averaged 9.3 points per game, 3.1 assists, shot 38% from three-point range in 19 minutes per game. Not too bad. Now, for his career, 405 games, he's averaging 7.9 points, 3.3 assists, 2.1 rebounds, and it shoots about 37% from three-point range. So I still think Kolek is going to be the primary backup point guard. I think he's going to take the job. In the Summer League, going into today's game, he had 14 assists to no turnovers. The guy can drive. I still think Kolek is going to be a fan favorite in the Garden in maybe the 10 or 12 minutes he's going to be playing. Just watch. I still feel it. But again, the Knicks need a center. Can they bring back Precious Achiuwa already? Can they do that? There's still guys out there who can give you 15, 20 minutes a night, and that's all the Knicks are really looking for at this point. So, yeah, enough of that. Can we please get another center in the Garden, please? Thank you. All right, let's say a couple of quick hellos. The great Tony Alexio. Hello, Y2K. Good enough. And all Jets fans. Harlan Abraham here as well. Good to see you too. And a special hello to everybody else who is joining us tonight. All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit. Let's switch the mood a little bit right now. Why don't we? So I'm going to drop the wicker chair for a moment. And let's put ourselves in the Green Palace. In Jet Life Stadium. Oh, it's only a couple of weeks away, guys. I know it feels forever away with these 90 to 100-degree temperatures that we got going right now. But you know what? That first preseason game, it's only about 3 weeks away. It's going to be coming, and all kinds of arguments are going to start. So let's talk a little bit about the Jets news of the day. And the news of the day is the Davante Adams trade rumors. Okay, now Harlan already making a point about it. The cost would be too high. Why would he want to come to the Jets when he has no state income taxes in Nevada? Well, I don't think there's such a thing, to my knowledge, as a no trade clause in the NFL. If he gets traded, he gets traded. And here's the thing. We're going to get it. I was going to make a point to this, Harlan, to your first point, but I'm going to kind of hit that over the next few minutes. So hopefully I'll answer your question. But I'm definitely addressing exactly what you put up there because it's a good point. So it was early this offseason when the rumors began to really circulate connecting Davante Adams to the Jets. Makes sense since he played with Aaron Rodgers for so long. But then when the Raiders decided to retain Antonio Pierce as their head coach, they made it clear they did not intend to trade Davante Adams. Adams also said, yeah, I want Antonio Pierce as my head coach. I'm good with that. But the rumors have started to gain some traction again over the last week or two. So on the show Receiver, that Netflix series that's on right now, he actually said, I got to get out of here before I get killed. Okay. And Rodgers himself has said, I can't wait to play with Davante again, as if he knows this is going to happen. It's very strange. On WFAN, Boomer Esiason is saying the deal will be done in late August to early September, which is still about 5 to 6 weeks away. On ESPN this past Tuesday, Dan Orlovsky called it a done deal. Now, the agents for Adams are saying there is no trade talk. It's baseless, but you know what? That refers to the past. They just said there has been no trade talk. That never said that trade talks could not happen in the future. And we know Adams has been super productive. He spent 8 seasons in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. And in his 116 games with the Packers, Adams caught 669 passes, 8,121 yards, and 73 touchdowns. And his final 4 years, he became a superstar. If you just isolate 2018 to 2021, he caught 432 passes, 5,310 yards, 47 touchdowns in 57 games. So about 8 catches a game. Now, obviously, there are issues. And the first thing that we would start with is the salary cap situation. All right, so I'm going to kind of break this down a little bit and try to make it as understandable as I can. So Adams is under contract for 3 more years, including this upcoming one. In those 3 years, he makes $25 million, $44 million, $44 million again. Okay. Now, if the Packers were to trade him, they would take on a $7.85 million dead cap hit the next 3 years, but they would save $17.5 million this year. Okay. So Packers, if the Raiders trade him, they save $17.5 million. Then they would save $36 million each of the following 2 years. So there is a financial incentive for them to trade Adams. They'd save $89 million over 3 years. So that does matter. Now, if the Jets make the trade now before the season, the cap hit they take on is the same $17.5 million that the Raiders would save. Okay, so what the Raiders save, the Jets take on as the cap hit. That's the key. So $17.5 million. Problem is the Jets have $6.25 million left in cap space. All right, so it's going to take a big restructure, which could be possible if they extend the deal, or they'd have to restructure the whole thing. And as far as the trade compensation goes, and this is where, Harlan, I want to come back to your comment. So I think a good comparison would be Stephon Diggs. He was just traded from Buffalo to Houston. And in that trade, the Bills got 3 draft picks, a 2, a 5, and a 6, 2 of which were for this year and 1 is for next year. Plus, here's the other thing. The Bills, $31 million in dead cap space just to get Stephon Diggs off their team. They ate money. They didn't save money. So to me, the Texans, it would stand to reason, had to give a little bit more to get Diggs out of Buffalo, because Buffalo would be taking on that big cap hit. Adams is 32, Diggs is 31. Now, so to me, if they require a second-round pick in 2025 and maybe a low-round pick like a 6 in exchange of maybe 6-round picks, would that get it done? If a 2, a 5, and a 6 did it to get Diggs, I think Adams is actually it's going to take a little bit less when you think about all the cap savings that the Raiders would take on. Now, Adams did not play with the best quarterbacks last year with the Raiders, but parts of his game struggled. His contested catch rate fell by 8%. His drop rate rose by 2.5%. His yards after catch per reception went down from 5 yards per catch to 3.3 yards. So you have to wonder how much of that is on Davante Adams, his age, has he peaked, or how much is on the players around him. Those are things that we really don't know, and it's kind of hard to, really speculate on. So trading Adams has benefits and drawbacks for the Raiders. That's the main thing to keep in mind. But I think the trade could happen if they decide they really want to rebuild. Because seriously, who are the Raiders throwing in a quarterback? Goodness. They're going to have, in my mind, a bottom 5 quarterback room in the NFL. And as far as Brandon Ayuk goes, he's requested a trade, and San Francisco has said they don't want to trade him, but they haven't exactly said that they wanted to pay him. But we've seen this in San Francisco before, where players request trades, and then a couple weeks later, San Francisco pays up. We've seen it with Debo. I think we saw it with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, George Kittle. These extensions happen at very weird times. So I don't really buy it. I know the Niners cannot pay everybody, but as long as they don't have to pay Brock Purdy a ton of money, you know what? They could afford to pay these skill position players. Now, his rookie contract has 1 year left. Now, that 5th-year option is set to pay him $14.1 million for this year. He's seeking an extension, and that would roughly double the value of that salary. At 26 years old, he's entering his prime. He's right to want $30 million. In my mind, Brandon Ayuk is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Now, if San Francisco were to trade him, well, where does he go? Well, I think the 2 of the big teams that I've heard, I think maybe 2 of the most likely teams would be Washington and Pittsburgh. Those 2 teams have the cap space, and they have a need at wide receiver. At wide receiver for Washington, you have Terry McLaurin. He looked like he could be a number 1, but he hasn't really been that consistently great wide receiver. Jahan Dotson, the jury is still definitely out on him. And with Pittsburgh, what are we really talking about? You've got George Pickens, who's a good deep threat, but in my mind, a little bit volatile. I think he's a little bit of a head case at times. Then you've got a rookie in Roma Dunze. You've got 1 or 2 other guys as well. But yeah, Pittsburgh could use a little bit of an upgrade at wide receiver too, I think. So yeah, and they've cleared out some of the old players there. Juju's been gone for a bit. Deontay Johnson's no longer there, so they could afford to upgrade at wide receiver. Or they'd have to do a big restructure. That's the whole point. It's $6 million. That's what they have to work with. And the cap hit would be 17. So you have to find a way to clear up $11 million. That's one reason I don't really think it's going to happen. And to me, the Jets don't really need to be focusing on getting a wide receiver. As long as Mike Williams is fine, then great. But maybe it's a situation when you're getting close to the trade deadline. Maybe the Raiders would unload him at that point. Maybe you're taking on a little bit less salary at that particular time. So, yeah, it would definitely take some interesting roster gymnastics. And, yeah, the only way I would do it is if I knew Mike Williams was going to be out for an extended period of time. And that does not appear to be the case. So, yeah, but it would be an all-in trade, wouldn't it? That offense would be scary. You could not stop that offense. It would be pretty unbelievable. I also think the Chargers would make sense for Ayuk. I think they have maybe the worst wide receiver core in the NFL right now. Love Ladd McConkey, but we don't know what he's going to be. And they unloaded Mike Williams. They unloaded Keenan Allen. Buffalo, Buffalo's got the clear need now too, but they need to do some cap maneuvering too because they don't have the space to take on the contract either. But I just think about this. It's amazing to think where the Jets were at wide receiver last year. and how much stock we're putting into both Mike Williams and Malachi Corley, transforming that wide receiver room. I'm going to give you a number. Here are the number of snaps that every Jets wide receiver ran last year. Okay, so this is the snap count for the season for every Jets wide receiver. Number one was Garrett Wilson with 712 snaps. Okay, and we know Wilson played almost every snap except for about 15 snaps. The second most snaps was Alan Lazard with 483. Anybody feeling depressed yet? Anybody want a drink after hearing that? The third most was Xavier Gibson with 383. Jason Brownlee was fourth with 202. With 158 in fifth place was Randall Cobb. Sixth place, Malik Taylor with 43. And bringing up the rear, McCole freaking Hardman with 24. So McCole Hardman got fewer snaps than Malik Taylor. What is that? My gosh, what a disaster he was for our team. Unbelievable. So the point is, the Jets were so hideous at wide receiver, except for one player, and Williams and Corley. It's going to be up to them to make a big impact, or even better, a Gibson or a Brownlee take a step up and emerge as a legitimate player. Irv Charles, he's really just more of a special teams player. I don't even count him in this for this particular point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, we're going to get away from the news, and we're going to talk Jets offseason predictions recap. So right after the season ended, I made my predictions of what I thought would happen with the Jets, the decisions they would make. And why are we doing this? It's very simple, because we hold ourselves accountable on this channel. That's right. So whether I was right, whether I was wrong, I'm going to own up to what I said and what I thought was going to happen. So one prediction that I said that Zach Wilson would be traded before the draft for a day 3 pick. That turned out to be correct. I predicted the Jets would sign Ryan Tannehill as their backup quarterback. That was not only incorrect, but Ryan Tannehill still has not signed with an NFL team, interestingly enough. Jets signed Tyrod Taylor. I'm happy with that. So it looks like Tannehill may be in one of those situations where he's just looking for an opportunity. Maybe somebody goes down. Tannehill can step in a quick note. But, with the Jets having those Titans offensive coaches, I just felt it was a very natural fit, and it did not happen. Wild Wave, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Glad you are here. Yeah, we're just having a good time right now. Yeah, talking about the Jets off season, and we're going to talk about the Jets rookies in a little bit here. Remember to hit that thumbs up, guys. Thanks so much. I predicted the Jets would cut Laken Tomlinson, cut CJ Uzomah, and restructure John Franklin Myers, DJ Reed, and CJ Mosley. Well, I got both the cuts correct. Tomlinson and Uzomah, of course, are no longer on the New York Jets. John Franklin Myers was not restructured. He was traded. Nothing happened with DJ Reed at all. We've got the great Nick Shine here. And just like I said at the top of the show, guys, be sure to tune in to Proud NYJ Fan a little bit later on tonight. He will be starting his show at 9 p.m. And then I will be joining him along with Dom C as we do our Fantasy AFC East Division Draft. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. David D's here as well, enjoying Whopper Wednesday. Very good while watching Watsu K99. That's a lot of W's. Well. I'm glad you're here, man. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible that could happen, but I think it would take. I don't know. I don't think the Jets want to play Jordan Travis in his first year. They want this to be a redshirt season for him. So we'll see what happens. Hey, Tim Boyle's always still out there, right? Who is still on the quarterback wheel of doom, by the way. I got both the cuts correct. The only one of the 3 players they restructured was CJ Mosley for 2 years, $17.25 million, and a couple of void years tacked on to the end of that. I predicted the offensive line would have 3 new starters, and they do, in Tyron Smith, John Simpson, and Morgan Moses. And in a way, it's almost 4 starters, considering Joe Tippmann didn't start till week 3, and Elijah Vera Tucker went down, but they did bring in 3 players from outside the organization to step into that offensive line. So I'll say I got that one correct. I predicted that the marquee free agent signing for the Jets would be wide receiver Mike Evans, and they would ink him to a 3-year contract, but my target was T. Higgins. Jets never had a chance at either one of those receivers. Evans signed a new deal with Tampa Bay, and Higgins will be playing this season on the franchise tag. I predicted Bryce Huff would not be a Jet. I felt he wanted to be a full-time player, and the Jets were not going to accommodate that. That was correct. I predicted Quentin Jefferson would stay with the Jets, but Al Woods and Solomon Thomas would leave. Only one I got correct there was Al Woods, as Quentin Jefferson headed off to Cleveland along with Justin Hardy, and Solomon Thomas is still a Jet as well. I predicted, of course, I made a special teams prediction. You know what I would do. I predicted the Jets would not only keep Thomas Morstead and Greg Zuerlein, but sign them to 2-year contracts. That turned out to be correct. And then in the NFL draft, these were my predictions. I predicted the Jets would get 3 comp picks, 1 in the 6th round and 2 in the 7th. My logic was Sheldon Rankins would cancel out Alan Lazard, Nathan Shepard cancels out McCall Hardman, and then they lost Nate Herbig, Mike White, and Dan Feeney. This is based off the previous offseason, and I got that correct. Jets got 3 comp picks in those rounds. I predicted the Jets would keep the 10 pick, and with Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, Marvin Harrison, and Olu Fashanu off the board, they would draft Talise Fuaga. Well, shortly after that, Fashanu started to drop down boards. You know, at the time, I don't think anybody expected him to get past maybe past the Titans. So the Chargers and the Titans, it seemed like they would take Alt and Fashanu in some particular order. And turns out that he dropped all the way to 11, and the Jets snatched him up. I also predicted the Jets would draft a development quarterback with one of their 2 4th-round picks. Well, didn't quite turn out that way. I thought it was going to be Michael Pratt from Washington State. He actually went to Green Bay in the 7th round. I couldn't believe Pratt made it that far. And the Jets drafted Jordan Travis with their 5th-round selection. And then with the schedule, I predicted there would be 4 primetime games aside from the mandatory Thursday night game. Jets actually have 5 primetime games, and that's not counting the London game or the Thursday night game. So pretty crazy how that all went down. So yeah, so some of those predictions we hit, some we missed, and in the next couple of weeks we'll make more predictions for the season. We'll make some player predictions, and I'm sure I'll make some bowl predictions. If you've been around my channel, you know I like to do my bowl predictions before every game. In the next couple of weeks, we'll make some bowl predictions. Haven't decided if it's going to be on the Wednesday night show or if I'm going to make it a standalone. So we'll check out for that. All right, so now let's flip over. And no, we don't want to do that yet. Shoot. Ew, I think I hit the wrong button there. There we go. Okay, there it is. Jets rookie projections. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a bunch of the rookies here. Some of the most prominent rookies are the ones I feel can make an impact since the rookies report to Florham Park tomorrow. So we'll start to see some tweets again from Connor, from Kaz, from Samini, from Nick, and everybody else who's going to be on the beat this year, from Anton Staley. By the way, shout out to Anton for actually responding to me on Twitter. He's about the only beat writer who ever does. Unbelievable. They pretty much, Jets fans, I think the beat writers just have a list of all the Jets fans on Twitter, and they just mute all of us. I'm pretty sure. Or in some cases, they get blocked. But I'm pretty sure that I'm muted at this point by just about everybody. The filters are high, I can assure you. All right, so 23 rookies report tomorrow. Doesn't this feel like, if you're a baseball fan, this is like the equivalent of pitchers and catchers with a lot less fanfare. It's like the beginning of training camp, but not really training camp, you know? So that's what's going to be going on. Olu Fashanu, I'm going to start with him. Now, I don't think the Jets are going to shuffle around offensive linemen again unless they absolutely have to. You know, they did it with Elijah Vera Tucker. I don't think they want to do it with Fashanu. There has been talk, maybe they can move Fashanu over to guard and then kick him out to tackle next year. I just don't see that they would want to do that, because to me, if you do that with Elijah Vera Tucker, if you come out before the beginning of the season and say, we're going to leave him in this position, he's going to be our right guard, fine. But then if you do the opposite with Fashanu, to me, it looks a little bit hypocritical. So I think Fashanu will play left tackle or he doesn't play at all. I do think he will play 6 games this season, as Tyron Smith will get banged up a little bit. You know, Jets fans are going to have to be patient with Fashanu, and Fashanu is going to have to be patient with the Jets as well. Malachi Corley, the newly signed Malachi Corley, which I'm very happy about. Didn't they confirm he's our left tackle? Well, Tyron Smith is going to be starting. Wow, there's no question about it. Fashanu's going to be on the bench, and unless Smith is not playing. But yeah, Fashanu's not going to be starting if they can help it. But I'm very happy to see Malachi Corley signed a $6 million rookie deal. They didn't give the years, but I would assume it's going to be a 4-year contract, 3 to 4 year contract. Because I think it was a 3rd round pick. With the 2nd year, we know it's a 4-year deal. 3rd round, off the top of my head, it's either 3 or 4 years, but not 100% sure. Now, I think Corley's going to get off to a little bit of a slow start. He'll get his reps, but I think as he adjusts to a very different style of offense, while away regardless for the future as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Fashanu was drafted to be the left tackle. I don't think there's any question about it. And I think Carter Warren, the hope is he becomes our right tackle next season. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think it's impossible that could happen. I think Carter Warren's been getting some good reviews, but it's going to be very interesting to see. That's one of the players I'll be watching in the preseason games is how does Carter Warren perform with a year under his belt? Knob deep. Perfect time for the evening commute. Yep, keep your eyes on the road and, stay safe. Yeah, living down here with the commute, man, it's a nonstop construction zone. Leaving Virginia, we had to deal with the tunnels, which would get backed up. Those underground tunnels where you kind of go under the water and then you emerge back out on the other side. We don't have any water issues here, but this is like a never-ending construction zone. It's crazy. It's like half the highway you could drive on. The other half is just a flat thing of pavement. And I'm like, we're in North Carolina. Construction is pretty much 11 and a half months a year. Let's build some highways already, people. So, but the thing with Corley, he averaged 8.2 yards per reception in college. And so he's going to get his yards after the catch. They're going to put him in positions to catch the ball, which is short to intermediate routes. A lot of screens as well. Corley didn't make a whole lot of catches going deep. So you want to get him in space. Hopefully Nathaniel Hackett has some ways to do that. I don't have wood to knock on, but I'm knocking on my kitchen counter table. So we'll just do that. So I'm going to predict that Corley has 65 receptions, 586 yards. That's about 9 yards per reception and 5 touchdowns. 3 of them, though, are going to be over 20 yards. I think Corley's going to kind of turn on the Jets as the season goes on. You're not going to see him get a lot of red zone touchdowns, but he'll get some screens, and I think he's going to make a pretty big impact, albeit in kind of a limited role. As far as Braylon Allen goes, well, I'm a big BA fan. We hyped him up before the draft on this channel. I had him in my top 5 running backs. He's looked great in OTAs. Now, last year, Allen in college had 5.4 yards per attempt and 3.77 yards after contact per attempt. He forced 49 missed tackles, and he had 12 rushing touchdowns. I think Allen emerges as a number 2 running back. Isaiah Davis might get some reps early on because Davis is a lot more seasoned. He's got, I think he's about 4 years older than Allen is, but the upside that Allen brings is really good. And the Jets are going to have a very physical running game. How long has it been? I think it pretty much goes back to the days of Chris Ivory, when we as Jets fans were just dying for a physical running back, somebody who could just run a linebacker over. We haven't really had it, as far as I can tell, since Chris Ivory. Brees has some power, but on a 3rd and 1, on a 4th and goal, how are we going to get that yard, especially with that crappy offensive line? Well, these running backs can do it. Davis gets yards after contact. Allen gets yards after contact as well. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to jump right into Isaiah Davis as well. Let's just do the 2 running backs together. So Davis had 18 rushing touchdowns and 80 missed tackles forced in his career at South Dakota State. He averaged 4 yards after contact per attempt. You're not taking him down with 1 tackle, just like you're not taking Corley down with 1 tackle, and you're not taking Allen down with 1 tackle. You have tough players. I felt that was the new direction the Jets were really going with, is tough, resilient players. And I really like that. Now, I think Davis would mostly play in mop-up time. I'll say he appears in 7 games, gets about 20 carries, 76 yards. I just think he has a very limited role for right now. As far as Braylon Allen goes, I think Allen's going to have a pretty big year. I'm going to go 99 carries. So, that's about 6 carries a game. I think that's fair for a number 2 running back. 401 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think some of these NFL defenses, when they see Corley in the game, they're going to load it up because they're going to assume if Allen's on the field, they're probably running the ball. So I think he'll have his share of runs that don't go very far, but he'll get a share where he does take some pretty good ground down. I also think he will have 14 catches for 87 yards and a receiving touchdown. So I am predicting 7 touchdowns as a rookie for Braylon Allen. While we ask, I wonder why Corley's contract took a little longer than others. It's most often signing bonus money and things like that, insurance reasons, stuff like that. I mean, we're not agents, but it's pretty much always injury insurance is kind of the deal, and how much money am I getting up front. That's pretty much what it always is, but the total can only come to a certain point. So that's the easiest way to say it. All right, now on to Jordan Travis, Jets' 5th-round quarterback. They took him from Florida State. The thing with Travis, he's a respected leader. He could run. He has a very accurate arm. He ran for over 2,400 yards and had 32 touchdowns in college. So Travis obviously is coming off a very serious leg injury, and a lot of people didn't really think that it was very possible that he was going to be playing this year. Certainly not early in the year. A lot of those early roster projections, mine, Rika's as well, at Jets X Factor, were predicting he would start the year on the PUP list. Now, I don't think you could rule that out completely, but the fact that he did participate in minicamp is a very good sign. So let's see if Jordan Travis is all systems go as the rookies report to camp on Thursday. The great Nate is here. The Wicker Man, that is me, my friend. That's right. Yeah. There's even, not far from me, there's actually a street called Wicker Drive, ironically. So one of these days I got to drive down Wicker Drive and see what that's like. Swig of water for the working man and woman. All right. So that's Jordan Travis. I think this is a redshirt year for him. I don't think there will be a situation where he plays unless everybody else gets hurt. So my hope is that we do not have to see him at all. Jets, mess. My very first channel member, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. Guess hoping you're having a very happy hump day. So thank you very, very much for stopping by tonight. And I see we got, looks like 10 likes in the chat. Guys, remember, 15 likes, we'll spin the wheel. We did not spin it last week, but maybe we will this week. And I'll give you guys just another plug, like we mentioned at the top of the show. 9:15, I will be on with Nick, along with Dom C, at the Proud New York Jets fan channel. And we are doing our fantasy AFC East draft tonight. So definitely check that out. Only the first 37 minutes. I keep it all boring all the time. That's why I speak like this all of the time. All right, Quantez Stiggers. So I think he has a limited role, kind of like Braylon Allen, to start again. But I think I just had this weird feeling. The Jets secondary, outside of Chuck Clark, was very, very healthy last year. I just don't think you can count on the same thing happening this year. But I think Stiggers is going to step in, and he is going to be a very valuable piece for a couple of games. I've got a good feel. I think he plays 14 games this year. I think Stiggers gets a pretty good role and gets 2 interceptions. I think Stiggers is going to have a couple of moments. Won't play a ton of snaps, but he'll play a few snaps every game, like maybe 5 to 10 snaps a game. That's about what I'm thinking for him. I think it's very possible, and my God, do I want it to happen. I'm rooting for him about as hard as I'm rooting for Kuntz. Except I have a little bit higher hopes for Stiggers than I do for Kuntz. Okay, and as far as Jalen Key goes, the Jets' last draft pick, Mr. Irrelevant. So I think one of the things with Key is a lot of people are thinking, safety, I don't know. We can always cut him, stash him on the practice squad. There's going to be quite a battle for that 4th safety spot. After Tony Adams, Chuck Clark, and Ashton Davis. To me, it's pretty much a free-for-all, and my gosh, do I wish the Jets had Trey Dean back. Not that we know he'd be great, but man, it'd be an intriguing situation. Hey, you know what? Maybe if the Jets didn't lose Trey Dean on waivers to the Chiefs, maybe they don't draft Jalen Key. We'll never know. But he allowed 145 yards on 400 coverage snaps last year, did Jalen Key. And he has never allowed a passing touchdown in his entire college career. And that career is 787 snaps. Just coverage snaps. In over 5 years in college, quarterbacks had a 62.5 NFL passer rating when targeting him. Pretty darn good. Now, Key has only had 4 interceptions. So He's been good at covering, but he hasn't really been a playmaker. All right, so that's going to be interesting. I think with Key, I think he's going to get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He'll be in the driver's seat to start off, but I don't know. I still think it might be a battle between a guy like him and maybe a Jarick JBC, Bernard Converse. And I think there's like one spot for maybe those two guys, and the other one they'll try to bring back on the practice squad. So we'll see what winds up happening, but I don't think you'll see a ton of him on the field, except maybe special teams or a situation where you need 6 or 7 defensive backs, because the Jets don't rotate their safeties. If you're a Jet safety, you are on the field 100% of the time. It's just that simple. Harlan, not a big believer in Kuntz. Well, we don't really know. He's one of those players where you want to see the big step up from him this year. Just like Izzy Abanaconda, a lot of those guys. I felt last year's draft class was very much designed for the future. It was a lot of projects outside of, really Joe Tippmann, but Will McDonald was a pipeline pick. He wasn't expected to start right away. And I think most of these other picks are similar in JBC, Zaire Barnes, that's another one, Izzy, Zach, all these kinds of guys. I feel like the only player they drafted who they knew was going to start would be Joe Tippmann at some point. So we'll see which one of those guys do step up. They're not all going to step up. We got to live in the real world because that doesn't happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's game's going to go to hell, or they're just going to be outperformed by someone else. But you hope 2 or 3 of those guys take a decent enough step up where they make it difficult on this coaching staff to figure out who they want to keep. All right. So those are some of the drafted players. Now let's go on to some of the undrafted free agents. I'm not going to break them all down. Like the ones who I don't feel have a legitimate chance, we're going to let those go by. But I want to talk about some players to pay attention to. And the first one is Andrew Peasley. I'll give everybody a moment to go Wikipedia him. Now, he is a quarterback that was not drafted, but signed from Wyoming. Okay, now he has a very strong arm. It's even stronger than Travis's. And now last year, Peasley played an offense that really constricted him. He only attempted 47 passes over 20 yards, but 9 of those 47 went for touchdowns, and 3 more were classified as drops. So that was a 15% drop rate on deep passes. So he doesn't throw deep often, but when he does, he can make it count. And to give you a big picture from last year, so Andrew Peasley had a career year in passing completion at 62.4%, and he threw 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Also, he could run. Okay, he ran for 582 yards and 7 touchdowns. To go along in 2022, he ran for 473 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2 seasons playing at Wyoming. The problem with Peasley is protecting the football, and that's something that this just fabulous offensive coaching staff is going to have to work with him on. He had 15 fumbles in 2 years. That's just not going to work. But we can't really expect to see much of Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor in the preseason. And I think they're also going to try to limit Jordan Travis. They want to make sure he's healthy. So you really had to bring a quarterback in to sort of take the hits, get those reps in during the preseason. And I think Peasley is the quarterback that you're going to see a lot of taking those reps. Yeah. Rodgers is all about forcing it to the Kuntz, He's got a good history with it. I don't even want to touch that any further. That didn't come out either. Okay, then we talk about Tyler Harrell from Miami. So he's 6 feet, 190 pounds. Ryder of Karma says no Jordan Travis. Yeah, we talked about Jordan Travis. Yeah, we absolutely talked about Jordan Travis. That I didn't really want to see him in a game. But, yeah, I think Travis will be the big debate I'm having is if he starts the year on the PUP squad so the Jets can carry 1 extra player. Because with the Jets go into the season with just 2 quarterbacks, because you can designate that emergency 3rd quarterback for game days, maybe that's Travis's role to start off. So let's see if he's healthy this week. We want to see if he's ready to go, if he's full systems go, or if he needs some time. I definitely hope he's ready from the get-go. But Tyler Harrell, 6 feet, 190 pounds, had 52 passing targets in 6 years in college. 6 years in college, wow. Caught 26 passes for 6 touchdowns over those 6 years. So, He caught a touchdown, 6 of the 50 on his 26 catches. So that's basically 25% of the time. The problem is most of that production came in 2021. That year, he had 18 catches and 6 touchdowns when he played for Louisville. But the speed stands out. He ran a 4.2540. That's the 99th percentile on wide receivers. And you know what? Maybe that's something Brant Boyer wants to work with. Harrell has not played a lot of special teams, but you know what? You can't really teach speed. So they brought him in. They might use him as like a gadget player. Let's see if they use him more as a wide receiver, as a returner. Because, the Jets brought in a lot of players who could potentially return a punt or return a kick. With these new rules, you're going to need them. And I don't want to have to count on, Malachi Corley or Xavier Gibson to have to do it necessarily. So, bring in some undrafted free agents, some guys who are going to do everything they can to make this roster because they need to. All right? So, I like the idea of trying to find a returner in that UDFA pile. That's Tyler Harrell. Now I want to talk about Brady Latham, a player that a lot of Jets fans are familiar with. Jets got sort of like the lesser Latham, some people would say. Now at Arkansas, and hello to Arkansas if they're watching, Ryder of Karma is asking me about Brandon Ayuk. Yep, we talked about Ayuk as well. Hey, Jennifer. We definitely talked about Ayuk earlier and what that would entail. We spent more time on Davante Adams, but with Ayuk, it's gonna. I just don't know if San Francisco is really going to trade him. We've seen it over and over again. These players, they threaten their way. They threaten San Francisco. I want to be traded. They don't appreciate me. They don't respect me. 2 weeks later, they got a friggin' signed contract. So, but San Francisco, they haven't said they want to pay him, but apparently they don't want to trade him. They're going to have to do one or the other at some point, especially as they go into that contract year, because this is Ayuk's 5th year. So they got to make a decision at some point. But, while this window is open, I think they're going to do everything they can to win. But remember, they did draft Ricky Pearsall. So maybe they did draft Pearsall with the intention of Ayuk leaving at the end of the season. So, GVH, good to see you, man. That's my point exactly. I don't think they're going to trade him at this point. Why would you? People can complain all they want, but is he going to sit out? Just like Hassan Reddick. I know one's in a rookie contract and one isn't. But are they going to sit out and lose that money and lose leverage? I don't think they are. I don't think so. To me, it's a lot of hot air. I definitely expect Adams much more likely to be traded than Ayuk. Of course, I would much rather have Ayuk, but my gosh, the contract you'd have to pay him would be pretty expensive. How do you block Knob? Do what I'm about to do. Hit the block button. I have blocked. I used to block a few people back in the day when there was like the one guy, what was his name, Charles, who always bragged that he knew all the trivia. It's like, y'all don't know ball. Remember that? The guy said, y'all don't know ball. Like, this was the same guy who wanted the Jets to take Ezekiel Elliott. He wanted the Jets to sign Zeke like a year ago. Do you guys remember the dude I'm talking about? Like he was like a hardcore troll, man alive. Yeah, that's one of the guys that I remember. And finally, it was just so exhausting. I just had to be like, goodbye. Yeah, and I don't like doing that. I really don't like to do that. But with him, it was rough. But Brady Latham, team captain at Arkansas, got an 8.77 relative athletic score, which we know the Jets do value. Now, 304 pounds. This is not exactly a massive offensive lineman, but he can move, he can pull, and you always want a good offensive lineman who can pull well. Had 8 penalties last year. Some people have mentioned that, but I want to put those 8 penalties in context. He's unforgettable. Hey, Jets Mess, would you like me to make you a sandwich? Do you like shrimp? Hey, Jennifer Slattery, will you go out with me? That's basically what he would do. Yeah. Now, if I was J. Cole, I'd be changing clothes right now, but that is not going to be the case. So, but with Latham's penalties, 8 last year, but 5 of them came in one game, and that came in a game when he was moved to left tackle. So he was playing a position he was not very familiar with, and most of them happened towards the end of the game. So you could almost throw that game out. Now, Latham is much more suited. Yep, chicken cutlets. That was always a go. Yeah, it was always chicken cutlets, right? Yeah, definitely. I think shrimp was mentioned once in a while also. But Latham more suited for pass blocking, got a 78.7 pass block grade this year and a 63.8 run block grade. So Latham will have to put a little bit of weight on, like 15, 20 pounds. I could see a practice squad role working out for him. You know, the Jets did not address the interior offensive line in this draft, but they did address it a little bit with the undrafted free agents. And who knows, maybe Latham could turn out to be one of those good depth interior offensive linemen that you could develop over the course of the year. All right. Now I want to go on to Jimmy Charlo, linebacker from Army. Excellent range, very good tackler, a little bit small. I consider him a bit of a long shot, but Brant Boyer, we know, pulls a lot of weight in this organization. If he goes to bat for him, maybe he gets that one of those special team spots. You know the Jets are going to leave a spot or two, especially after losing Justin Hardy. You know, it seems like there's one or two spots on this team that are really meant for that special team spot, and maybe Charlo can claim it. So something to keep in mind. A couple other players I want to mention. I'm going to go into a little more depth on these guys because these are the three that are getting the most attention from Jets fans, and I want to break them down in just a little bit more depth. So Braden McGregor, the pass rusher from Michigan. Now, here's the thing. His arms are 33 1/8 inches long. That's about my arm length, for crying out loud. And that's shorter than the desired length, and he's only 257 pounds. But remember, there was a pass rusher who was an undrafted free agent who came into the league at 255 and became a great player. You know who that player was? Bryce Huff. I think we know who he is, or was. So while McGregor doesn't have that same twitchiness like Huff does, he has great quickness off the snap. In fact, his 10-yard split is like 1.63 seconds. He's super fast. He's really going to find a home as a stand-up pass rushing specialist. And in a defense that's coached by Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh, there will always be a spot. But now, Deep, what you need to understand is Braden McGregor has got a 33 to 30% chance of making the roster. But if this guy doesn't make the roster, then McGregor is going to be a 25% chance. But he is twice the man that Will McDonald is. So even though Will McDonald's going to make the team, then Braden McGregor has got a 57 and a 30% chance of making the team because he's twice the man that Will McDonald is. You want to do a good Scott Steiner impression, just hold the word man and make it, man. And then you go to the Quinn and Williams press conferences, like, yeah, as fast as he say man, it's like the time that it takes him to say man, he gave the rest of that time over to Scott Steiner. You know what I'm talking about? Man, I just don't understand it, man. It's just going to be great, man. It was like, and then Scott Steiner's like, man. So that's the So, yeah, like Scott Steiner versus Quinn Williams and saying man, but the way they say it is just so different. All right, you got your Scott Steiner impression for the night. Yeah, my arms, I'm working on them. Yeah, his arms are downright scary. But I was actually a big Scott Steiner fan growing up before he turned and became Big Papa Pump. I like mullet Scott Steiner doing the Frankensteiner. That was my Scott Steiner. All right. So a little bit more about Braden McGregor. So he's got a super high motor, and the fact that he has that motor and he plays all the way through to the whistle. He'll get some sacks. He knows how to use his hands well, and he can use his swipe move pretty well too. But his calling card is his speed. So there's always the fine line to balance between adding weight to add some power, but at what point are you losing speed? Just ask Michael Clemens, he'll tell you. Now, McGregor didn't become a starter until 2023, so he's leaving college with a national championship at only 697 snaps. So it's not going to be surprising that he's a little bit raw and inconsistent, but that's why I'm thankful the Jets have a very good defensive coaching staff between Ulbrich, between White Cotton. That's a very good sign. But on 395 pass rush snaps during his career, he had 45 pressures. So that is a pressure every 8.7 snaps. And against Alabama, this is what I like. Against Alabama in the playoffs, 4 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. So when you have your best game against a team that's dominated college football for over a decade, that says a lot about you. So let's see what McGregor does. I would bet right now probably practice squad for him. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But let's see what winds up happening. GVH, McGregor versus Taylor. One defensive tackle and one edge, but who do we need? You know what? Let's talk about Leonard Taylor right now. So you're just giving me a very smooth segue. I appreciate that. So Leonard Taylor was ranked coming out of high school as the #1 recruit in the state of Florida and the #4 prospect in the entire United States. He had 20 college offers from any top school: Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Florida State, Penn State, Auburn. You get the picture at this point, right? Those are good programs. But he stayed at home in Miami, and the expectation was he would be a first-round pick. He'd probably be done after his junior year. Well, his most productive year, and I want to talk about how Leonard Taylor was used. Okay, 2022, he aligned in the B gap. So he was lined up between the tackle and the guard. Okay, so that's where he was on about 80% of the snaps, 275 snaps out of about 330. So while he was there, he was able to use his athleticism and his explosiveness to get into the backfield and make plays. 2023, he gets moved over to the A gap. So now he goes inside and he's in between the guard and the center. So he took 200 snaps there as opposed to the 20 he took the year prior. So I think he had to take on a lot of the grunt work and maintain those blocks, which then allowed other Hurricane players to make plays. But the move didn't help his production. It didn't help his draft stock either. Okay, so this is kind of a feast or famine lineman. And I mentioned this before, and I want to say it again. One of the websites that I looked at that has scouting reports said he's going to be best off in a pass rushing first defense that relies on pure pass rush, rotating the defensive lineman. He suits the Jets about as well as he would suit any other team in the NFL. If he can't make it here, he's not going to make it. Okay. Now, his techniques, his fundamentals, they need work. He can lose his body control, but when he has his hands and feet right, he can beat blockers very well with that power, with that natural talent. Okay. So consistency is the key with him. The issue, though, is he's played a lot more than Braden McGregor has. So both of them have consistency issues, which you would expect from an undrafted free agent. So I think he could fit in because my thing is this. The Jets have a lot more depth at defensive end than they do at defensive tackle. To me, this team has a clear hole there. After Quinnen Williams, how excited can you be over Javon Kinlaw? How excited can you be over Solomon Thomas for the third year in a row? How excited can you be over Leaky Fotu? How excited can you be about Michael Clemens getting an occasional snap inside at this point? So if Leonard Taylor's got the opportunity. I just think McGregor, let's see what he winds up doing. But those two players are going to require a good amount of coaching. And if one of them makes the 53-man roster, hey, I'll be very happy with it. The other one, you just hope that they could keep him. So we'll see what winds. Yeah, so we're definitely going to see what happens there. But I thought Leonard Taylor was going third round. So when the Jets got him as an undrafted free agent, I was very, very intrigued by that. Okay, let's talk about one more undrafted free agent. And yeah, the time is looking pretty perfect here. And after this, we'll do a little bit of trivia. Let's see how we're doing let's do a quick a like check. And we are at 13 likes right now. So we need 2 more likes if we're going to spin the big old wheel tonight. And I want to talk about Eric Watts, another edge rusher. No undrafted free agent got more money from the Jets than this guy. Now, I'm not talking about the 1992 wrestler from WCW. I'm talking about Eric Watts with a C on the end of his name. So Watts was also projected to go in the draft. NFL.com had him going in the 5th round, and that was mostly based off the 2022 season. He led UConn with 38 pressures, 10 tackles for a loss, 8 sacks. He blocked 2 kicks and forced 2 fumbles. 15. Yep, we got it, guys. I see the 15 likes, so we will do the wheel tonight. Good job, guys. Well done. All right. So after 5 years at UConn, which included the lost 2022 season, he's leaving with 153 tackles, 23 tackles for a loss, 9.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Now, most of his production came in the last 2 years. So 6'6", 275 pounds, 35-plus-inch arms for his length, not his circumference. Runs a 40-yard dash in 4.67 seconds. Wouldn't you expect him to get drafted? Because you can't teach his length. You can't teach his explosion. Okay? But he finished his career with 103 pressures. One of the issues he had to deal with was missing tackles. So in 2022, his missed tackle rate was 20.5%. In 2023, it went down to 8.1%, and that resulted in the highest run defense grade of his career at 80.2. So this is not a guy who only rushes the passer. This guy's had a lot more reps in than, say, McGregor has, and I think he's got more intangibles. Okay? David D., what is the theme for tonight's wheel? I'll let you know in a moment. I haven't decided yet. So I want to quote Dave Brugler, pretty well-known NFL analyst. Usually he's pretty on, I think, for the most part. I'm going to give you a quote what he said. Watts is a frenetic pass rusher and still figuring out how to properly unlock all his power. But the physical traits and competitive mentality are there for him to become a valuable part of a defensive line rotation with additional coaching. He might never put it all together, but he's worth a day 3 draft pick to find out. So you see a pattern here with these last 3 guys that we talked about. All defensive linemen shown great glimpses of production, but they got to get a little bit of consistency, need a little bit of fine-tuning. And that's why it makes sense to me the Jets wouldn't go for an edge rusher. Well, they weren't going to get an edge rusher first round after drafting Will McDonald first last year, but it made a whole lot of sense to me that they really addressed the defensive line with the undrafted free agents because, these players, these agents, they're not stupid. They know the deal. They know the deal. They know that if they go to the Jets, they're going to get great coaching because the Jets have as fierce a defense as there is in the NFL. Top 3, I would say for sure, along with San Francisco and Cleveland. I would put it right up there. I would say top 3, and I don't think there's any exaggeration to say that. All right, just checking the text real quick. All right, I think we are good. All right, guys, so here's what we're going to do. It is 7 o'clock, and I'll give everybody one more reminder. Check me out at the 9 o'clock. We're going to do trivia in a second, but be sure to check me out on the Proud New York Jets fan channel with Nick Shine and Dom C tonight as we do our AFC East fantasy draft. It should start right around 9:15 or so. Okay, guys, well, it is that time where every week you know what happens. I bust open the books. I go through the websites. I break out the Farmer's Almanac. And I challenge you, the most loyal of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL, the New York Jets fans. Just how much do you know about the New York Football Jets? So if you all are ready, let's play Jets Trivia. Okay, guys, so we know how this works. Every week, we give you a trivia question, and we give you 5 minutes to answer that question. So I am going to put this up, and of course, no looking it up, no Googling, none of that fun stuff. All right, so here is your trivia question for tonight. Davante Adams has scored 11 or more touchdowns in a season 5 times. Name the 4 Jets wide receivers who have scored 11 receiving touchdowns or more just one time in a single season. All right. So I am going to look at the chat, so put your guesses there. I'm asking for 4 names, but I'm pretty confident that we could do this. All right. We've got the great Jennifer Slattery, and she thinks that one of the correct answers is Brandon Marshall. Is it Brandon Marshall? Of course it's Brandon Marshall. Yep. Got 14 in one season back in 2015. Now we'll go back to the comments. All right, just for proof. Yeah, there we go. And Nick is going with Brandon Marshall, Keyshawn Johnson, Wesley Walker, and Don Maynard. Okay, I will tell you this. You have 1, 2, 3 correct, but I won't tell you which ones. Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is not correct. Yeah, not with these quarterbacks. Takes 2 to tango. Yep, Harlan says Don Abraham. Absolutely. Don Maynard did it one time, over 11 touchdowns. Jets Mess goes with Wesley Walker. Is it Wesley Walker? It sure is. Wesley Walker had 12 touchdowns in the season. Both Maynard and Marshall had 14 touchdowns in the season. And so then there is one more. Harlan Abraham goes with Altoon. It is not Altoon. Santa Claus Moss, says Jennifer. No, it is not him. J. Cole says Jets mess. Yes. Every touchdown, he got a chicken cutlet. He was highly motivated that season. And then Jennifer comes back with Eric Decker, and you bet it's Eric Decker. He had 12 touchdowns as well in 2015. So between Marshall and Decker, they had 26 touchdowns. So there is the correct answer. I had a feeling you guys would be able to knock that one out pretty quickly, and you sure did. So guys, well done. All right, so there we go. So let's take the trivia out of there. Very well done, everybody. All right, so we will come back next week with more trivia. All right, so you know what? We did hit our light goal. So now I got to get the wheels set up. So let's see if I can share my screen. Hopefully it won't make it too difficult for me. Looks like it's going to be one of those things. Okay, not now. All right, might take me a second to load it up. It's just one of those things when you share your screen, sometimes it accesses certain pages and sometimes you just have to like reset it. But obviously I can't reset the stream because then that'll knock me out of the stream, and that wouldn't be too good of a show. All right, let's try again. Share screen. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's see what wheel we're going to do tonight. I don't think I'm going to do the random one. Let's go to Jet seasons. Let's do something different. You guys mind if we do a little bit of a different wheel than what we've done before? I think I just want to switch it up a little bit tonight. All right, so I've got a wheel here of different Jet seasons. We've got the year listed and how far they won the playoffs, just to give us all a little bit of perspective here. So we'll do, we'll do 10 seasons. I don't think we've done this one, but I think we did this once. But I want to see how it'll go. So I will get the list going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. David D will be right back. Okay, David, we'll wait. Anyway, all right. So we got a variety of seasons here. I tried to focus more on recent years or years that kind of stood out for whatever reason. So, I didn't want to pick like too many years that were just like, well, this year happened, this was this. So let's see how this winds up going. Hey, this might be the first and the last time we do this wheel. I don't know. All right, let's spin the wheel. 10 spins, and you guys know what we do. We blind rank them, creating our top 10 list. And at the end of the list, do we have those seasons in order from best to worst? All right, here we go. Spin number 10. Oh, I got 2023 on here. This is how long ago I was doing this wheel. I actually created it before the season ended. So, all right, spin number 1 in 3, 2, 1. 82 was the 82 was the lockout year. 94 was the fake spike year. So we start with 1996. Richie Kotite. Oh, the last year of Rich Kotite, 1-15, right before Bill Parcells came in. Wow. Yeah. So 82, they went to the AFC Championship game, Jen. And 94, I remember because David Letterman made fun of it very early on in his CBS career. Nick says, put it at 1 for the amount of wins. Well, this is the least number of games that the Jets ever won in their history. So, yeah, I'm not sure how badly we want to do that. So, guys, put your numbers down there in the chat. Where do you want me to rank the 1996 Jets season? They're being made fun of everywhere. The ESPY Awards, the Tonight Show, the newspapers, the cartoons. Good Lord. Writer Karma, Janet, did we have the number 1 pick the next year? We did, but we traded it away. That was Orlando Pace. We traded away for multiple picks. The only player the Jets ever drafted number 1, aside from Joe Namath, was Keyshawn Johnson. That was it. Yeah, but we didn't take Keyshawn in 90. Yeah, Keyshawn was already there, I'm pretty sure, right? Because Keyshawn was there for Kotite and Corbett and all of that. Yeah, he was there. All right, guys. So 1996, where would you like me to rank it? Seriously. You guys about a little bit more happen. Yeah, give you a minute more. And I'm pulling up the list of seasons so we can get a little perspective on this. So we had a point differential of minus 175. Our leading passer that year was Frank Reich. 1-15. All right. Yep, I would agree. 1996, definitely the 10 spot. All right. Spin number 2 in 3, 2, 1. Round and round it goes. And it comes to a stop on the year 2008. Okay, so that was the year. That was Eric Mangini's last season. That was the Brett Favre year when the Jets had 7 Pro Bowl. I'm going to be interested to see how you guys do this. So they had 7 Pro Bowlers that year, but they absolutely collapsed down the stretch, losing, I think, 4 of their last 5 games to blow the playoff spot. And, of course, it ended with Chad Pennington in Miami coming in, beating us to take the division crown away from New England. 2008 is when Nate became a fan. Wow, that was quite the time. For a while, it was a very fun year. Jets had some great victories, no doubt about it. But yeah, Cotchery, the leading receiver, Thomas Jones, the leading running back. Of course, Brett Favre was quarterback. But yeah, there was a lot more that they could have done, I thought, that year. So Nick goes with a 6. I see a 3. I see a 4. For me, I can't put – see, there are quite a few playoff seasons on here. And to me, I can't put it that high when you have a lot of playoff years on this wheel. So I try to make that a little bit more fair by putting like wild card, conference championship game, things like that. So when you blow that much down the stretch, to me, you got to go a little bit on the lower side. So I guess I'd be willing to go down to about a 5, but GVH says 4 because you have to think we have a few good years ahead of us. Okay. Not totally sure I follow, but okay, I'll go with it. I can't blame my father because he's not a Jets fan; he's a Cowboy fan. So I wish I could blame my father for the New York Rangers and the New York Mets, since he's a Ranger fan and he took me to Shea Stadium when I was a kid. But I can't blame him for the Jets, although I would like to at times. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll compromise a little bit. I'll go 5 for 2008. Don't love it, but we'll do that. Yeah, the late season collapse. Brett Favre, because he had to keep his stupid consecutive games played streak alive. That's what he cared about more, and it cost us the season. Chris Jenkins got hurt too. That didn't help matters either. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this till my dying day. Eric Mangini was a terrible in-game coach. Terrible. Jen would take it over our last 4 seasons. Here's the thing. I didn't put a ton of our I put some of the recent seasons there, but I tried not to put too many of them. And again, I try to put a lot of good years in there as well. All right. Spin number 3. I'm going to make that spot number 5. All right. So spin number 3 in 3, 2, 1. Go a little bit further. Good on talent, but bad on results. Now we go to, I'm going to quote Randy Travis, the great country singer. Operator, please connect me with 1982. So the Jets that year went 6-3 because it was the strike-shortened year, and they made it all the way to the conference championship game in Miami, winning 2 games on the road before the Mud Bowl happened. But that 82 team was really, really good. Had a point differential of 79 in their favor. Finished second in the division. So, yeah, Mark Gastineau had an amazing season. Harlan, Mangini gave the Jets some winning seasons. One winning season where we lost the first playoff game, then a horrible season, then a 9-7 where they choked a playoff spot away. 2015, we had a winning season that year, but we didn't make the playoffs. So Harlan's going with a 2. Okay. Nick goes with a 4. Jennifer goes with a 4. All right. So it looks like we're putting this a little bit above 2008. I think I would agree with that. Yeah, because that was a really good playoff run. You win 2 road games, in the playoffs, it's pretty good. So, all right, I could go with a 4 on this one. Yeah, I could do that. All right. So 19, there was a time when she was mine in 1982. Okay, you never know 1 week if you'll get the dad jokes or if you'll get the bad singing from me. Anyway, Mess, we're going with a 4 on this one, brother. It's going to be a 4. I just think we can get better seasons. But 82 is a good one. 82 is a good one because we've only gotten the conference championship game so many times. So 2, 4, 3. It's close, but I'm going 4. All right, spin number 4 in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, 1982 by Randy Travis. And we land on 82 again. Respin. Spin number 4 takes us to 1997. Okay, so this was the first year under Bill Parcells. They blew another playoff opportunity when they lost that game in Detroit, but it was still a very good comeback year. Aaron Glenn was probably the big player. Keyshawn was there by now. That was his second year. Neil O'Donnell was the quarterback, and Parcells and O'Donnell just did not get along. Parcells did not like him. Adrian Morrell was still running well, and definitely laid the seeds for the team that made the AFC Championship game the next year. Now, I definitely think we got to put this below 2008, 82 and 08, right? Nick, we put 2008 at 5. Yeah, so far at spot 4, we have 1982. Spot 5, we have 2008. Spot 10, we have 1996. So that's where Harlan wants to go with the 3 for 1997 for a year where we didn't make the playoffs. Wow. So, okay. I mean, if you want to put that season over a year where we made the championship game, then God bless you. You know, absolutely you're entitled to. I wouldn't have, but okay. Try the veal. Wicker will be here all week. Yeah, because where else am I going to go? O'Donnell had those wide, terrified eyes. Yeah, I was not comfortable with him. I did not like O'Donnell, something above 5. So I think you want it lower than 5. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what we're saying. So 6, 7, 3, 5. Right now we're starting to lean towards a 6, and I think I can live with that. I think that's a pretty reasonable place to put it. All right, so the 1997, we'll put that at 6. So we're kind of filling up the middle of the list here. So we've got spots 4, 5, 6, and 10 taken. All right, so that was spins 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's go to spin number 5 in 3, 2, 1. And it's coming to a stop on the year 2006. So this was the first year under Eric Mangini. Now, before that, the Jets had won 4-12, and this time they lost in the wild card round to New England. But it was a fun year while it lasted because I don't think we really expected a ton from that team. But here's the thing. Where do we put 2006? Because we have spots 4, 5, and 6 taken. But would you put 2006 above 1982? Would you put it below 82, 08, and 1997? Keeping in mind 08 and 97 were not playoff years. Would you put a playoff year below those 2 non-playoff years? So Jen wants to go 7. Nick wants to go 3. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, right? Not many double-digit win seasons. Not many, but we got a few on the list. We've got at least 8 or 9. Yeah, we've I think we have like 8 double-digit winnings. Let me make sure on this. We've won in their history. The Jets have won double-digit games 11 times, and I'm including the Titans. So in basically 64 years, we've won double-digit games 11 times. Holy shit, that is depressing. Play the odds of the wheel. Well, yeah, GVH, we did kind of box ourselves in a corner. So I see a 3. I see 3s and 7s are tied right now, so I need somebody to break the tie. Where are we putting 2006? Obviously, the great Chad Pennington was a quarterback, so that warms my heart. Yeah, Chad, I'm going to let you guys make the call on this one. Jets Mess goes with 3. Okay, that's where we're going to put it. 2006 we'll take our number 3 spot. Okay, we're halfway there. Just to recap. Number 10, 1996. Spot number 6 is the year 1997. In spot 5, we've got the year 2008. Spot number 4, we've got the year 1982. And in spot number 3, we've got the year 2006. All right. So remaining, we've got 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9. Let's go to spin number 6 in 3, 2, 1. 3 from your other account, Nick? Okay, I see what's up. And we're landing on 2015, that 10-6 year where we had a historically good offense, pretty good defense as well. Didn't work out at the end of the day. It was that year when I realized Todd Bowles was just not the guy. But you know what? It was fun. I mean, you ranked 11th in points scored. It's amazing the Jets were only 11th in points scored that year. You would think that they were actually better, but they were only 11th. As good, as productive as that offense was. 387 points scored, 314 allowed. Second in the division, finished 10-6. So where are we going to put this one? Wow, everybody wants to put this at a 7. Interesting. Okay. Choke season. All right, I'll give it a few more seconds. We got a few other people in the chat. Hey, guys, let your voices be heard. Oh, and I'd like to thank Northern Virginia for tuning in tonight as well. Appreciate it. Even though she's a Panthers fan, appreciate it. All right, that's where we're going to put it. 2015 gets spot number 7. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised how this has been a little bit how we have this planned out, but okay. All right. 4 spots left. 1, 2, 8, and 9. So spin number 7 in 3, 2, 1. And it's spinning and it's coming to a stop on the year 2020. God dang. The second Adam Gase year, or most valuable. So if you go on I'm just going to give you guys perspective on how pathetic this was. If you go on Pro Football Reference, it's one of my favorite websites. It ranks approximate value. So like the higher your score, the more valuable of a player you are. All right. So a very high AV means you're very good. You know what player has the highest AV on the 2020 Jets? Neville Hewitt. A backup linebacker who played special teams was the highest rated Jet on that godforsaken team. 2-14. This was Frank Gore, 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Jamison Crowder, our leading wide receiver. Our point differential was minus 214. Minus 214. We scored 243 points. We allowed 457 points. Oh, my gosh. I mean, 457 divided by 6, that's about 20. That's over 25 points a game, right? Yeah, well over 25 a game. Good Lord. Oh, yeah, this guy, I agree. This can't go anywhere but 9. I mean, it's pretty much a race. This in 1996 for the worst Jets team that there ever was. It is right up there. 2021 wasn't much better. But if you just go by point differential, that is the tied for the worst team in Jets history with 1976. Oh, my God. And you're right. Joe Douglas does get blamed for the roster and the record. It amazes me. Yep. Every time somebody knocks Joe Douglas like that, I want to deduct 100 IQ points. I know he needs to win this year, but man, it took 3 years to rebuild the roster, and that's the bottom line. All right, guys, we got spots 1, 2, and 8. So we gotta do pretty well here. Okay, we gotta get some Rex years. We gotta get the Super Bowl year. We gotta do it here. Let's go. Spin number 8. And we're coming to a stop on the year 2010, and that was one of the best years that we ever had. Made the AFC Championship game. Beat the Colts. I was there. We beat the Patriots in the playoffs, followed just short in Pittsburgh. And as you all know, the last time we made the playoffs. But yeah, 11-5. Outside of that, the last time the Jets, the only time that the Jets won 11 games since 1998 with Parcells was this year. That's the last time that we did that. Yeah, 2010. Hit 10 wins a couple of times. But 11 wins, only 2010. Amazing. Boy, oh boy. So this is either going to be number 1 or number 2. And right now, number 1 is in the lead. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black. GVH, I don't know if you're into basketball, but the Knicks actually did a parody on that when the Knicks got Carmelo Anthony, and it became Staten Mellow, Staten Mellow, Staten Mellow, Staten Mellow. And I felt dirty liking that song. All right, it looks like number 1. That's going to be it. 2010 gets our number 1 spot. So I'll tell you this. I think it's going to be hard to find a season that's going to slide right in there. It pretty much, to me, it'd have to be 98, 2009. I mean, those are the only other years we went to the conference championship game. So, yeah, maybe 86. You can make a case for 86, maybe like an I don't know, but there's only a few years that would work. So let's see what we wind up getting. We've got spot 2 and we got spot 8 left. So let's spin the wheel in 3, 2, 1. There goes that wheel. It's going to make a stop on little more. 2010, which we just landed on. All right, well, we can't count that, so we're going to go back, Jack, and do it again, as Steely Dan says, and we're going to spin again. 1985 wouldn't have been bad. And now we land on the year 1989. Jets went 4-12 that year, finished last in the division, had a point differential of minus 158. I would like to point out the leading receiver on the Jets. Nick, I know you know who it is. Nick, I want you to put it down there in the chat. Who's the Jets' leading wide receiver in 1989 under Joe Walton? Joe Walton's last year, by the way, before they brought in Bruce Coslett. Yeah, Jen, this is definitely going to be spot number 8. But Nick, this is for you and you only. Who was the leading wide receiver for the Jets that year? I know you know it. But yeah, Johnny Hector was the leading running back. Highest ranked player was Eric McMillan. Very good at taking the ball away. But yeah, Jets allowed 411 points, scored only 253. You got it, JoJo Townsell. Townsell, that's right. Yep, JoJo Townsell was the Jets' leading receiver. All right, guys, so that is spin number 9. And now we've got 1 spin left. So let's recap where we've been on the wheel tonight. It has been a painful wheel, just like the quarterback wheel. Coming in 10 tonight, 1996. Number 9, 2020. Number 8, there's quite a schism there. Number 8 is 1989. Number 7, 2015. Number 6 was 1997. Number 5, 2008. Number 4, 1982. Number 3, 2006. And number 1 was the year 2010. So we got 1 spin left, and we better get a playoff season. That's all I can tell you. Because spots 1, 3, and 4, at least, I think 1 or 2 others, are all playoff years. So it was 08 was a playoff year? No, 08 wasn't a playoff year. So we have 3 playoff years on here. So at the least, it has to be a year where we won a playoff game. It's got to be that. Okay, guys, final spin of the night in 3, 2, 1. And it's going to come to a stop on the year 2001. So in 01, we lost a wild card game. We went 10-6. Yeah, came in 3rd place in the division that year, but lost the wild card round. I'm pretty sure. Which game was that? Yeah, that was Herman Edwards' first season. So, yep, John Abraham, very highly ranked. So, yeah, the John Hall year. Oh, that's right. We lost to the Raiders that year, right? Did we lose to I think we lost to the Raiders that game. No. Yeah, I think that was a Raiders loss. Because I think we lost to them 2 years in a row. Yeah, we lost that game 38-24. Yeah, we got beat up pretty good that game. Yeah, those were the Raiders of Rich Gannon and Charlie Garner and Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and guys like that. Bill Romanowski and Tyrone Wheatley. Raiders were a loaded team. So yeah, that was one where John Hall made the kick to get us in the playoffs. Yeah, guys, I got to be honest with you as I exit out of the wheel. Yeah, I can't say with a good conscience that we knocked that wheel out of the park. So, that Eric Decker comment was up pretty much the whole time. Well. But, yeah, as far as this wheel goes, no, I can't rank 2001 above 06 and 82. I don't even know if maybe not even above 2015 because, yeah, we didn't win a playoff game that year. So, well, yeah, we tried a little bit of a different wheel tonight. So, guys, tell you what, we're going to wind down a little bit. Oh, we got Yuki Matsui. What's up? Good to see you here. Glad you made it for the end of the show. Yeah, Jennifer, we did all right, but we hold ourselves to a standard on this channel. We don't accept mediocrity. We want to get it right. We'll give a little bit of leeway, but I just can't give us the win. Yeah, we tried a little bit of a different wheel. Why not? I felt like doing something different, and so we did. All right, guys, so a reminder, in a little bit under 2 hours from now, 9 p.m., Nick will begin his show at Proud New York Jets Fan. I will be joining along with Dom C. We'll be doing our AFC East fantasy draft, so who knows how that's going to turn out, but we're pretty excited to do it. All right, everybody, a couple quick reminders. If you're a Mets fan, I just uploaded a new video on them, a little bit on their draft today, also a little preview of the second half of the upcoming season. I know it's the dead time, but Jets rookies report tomorrow. News is actually going to be coming soon, and once it starts, it's going to be nonstop for months. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be an exciting year, and I hope I talk about some of these rookies. You're a little bit more excited to watch training camp and to follow some of these players, from Olu Fashanu all the way to the Jimmy Charlos of the world, because I'm pretty excited to watch these players too. So I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Be happy, be good, and I will see you right back here with more content. You know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody. See you later.